What's going on, everybody? Welcome to After Prison Show, and in this video I'm going to tell you about some of the craziest things that I ever saw inside of a prison visitation room. VI, as it's referred to in prison. Hey, I'm going to VI. You got a VI coming this weekend? I ain't got no VI. For the longest time, I really didn't ever have any VIs, 4 years to be more specific. God. Keep it together, Joe. Keep it together. It brings back some sad memories in my life, thinking about the many years that I didn't get a VI. But towards the end of my incarceration, as you would probably imagine, I all of a sudden did start getting visits. And you know, I wonder why. There's this saying while in prison that when you're gone, you're forgotten, but when you're back, you're missed. And as guys get towards the end of their prison bids, that's when people do want to start coming back around, because you are about to touch down, meaning that you're about to be released back out into the free world. And you know, there are some guys that do have extraordinary cases where they're serving 5, 10, 15 years, and throughout that entire time period that they're serving, they're getting visits. But in most cases, that's just not how it works at all. When you get sentenced to that time, there's a good majority of prisoners who don't get visits for long, extended years of time. And a big part of that reason is because they're on the inside. And on the outside, out in the free world, life is still going on. And in a lot of cases, people just don't have time to come visit someone who is in prison. It is a sad thing to think about, but it's also reality. But with all of that being mentioned thus far, what do you say we just go ahead and dive head first into this video? I don't even understand why my head does that little Night at the Roxbury thing. Throughout the course of the 7 years that I served as the last and final time that I will ever be locked up, throughout that time, I probably got something like 20 to 30 visits in total. And even though that's not a lot of visits, considering I spent almost a decade locked up, I still saw quite a bit of crazy shit during those times that I myself was in the visitation room. And I've spoke about some of those times in previous videos. Like a girl coming to see me with the entire side of her face split open and bleeding. And me walking into the visitation room like, damn, what the happened to you? Or a girl coming into the visitation room and telling me for the second time throughout the course of the time that I've known her that she has a child that belongs to me that turns out to not be my child. But those are just a few things that I went through personally in a visitation room, and doesn't even begin to compare to all of the other crazy shit that I saw taking place around me while I was in there. Like this one time when I'm sitting in the visitation room, minding my own business, gazing into the unbelievably magical eyes of this absolute crazy chick who was coming to see me. But while doing so, minding my own business, talking to this crazy chick, out of nowhere, all of a sudden I see like 3 prison guards bum rush a dude pretty much on the opposite side of the visitation room, and I have no idea what's going on. But when they bum rush this guy, they literally grab him by the throat and slam him on the floor. And when seeing this, I'm just thinking, oh my God, what the they're about to beat this guy up right here in the visitation room. And if I didn't know any better, I would have no idea what was going on. But because I did know better, and because I did see the guards with their hand on this guy's throat, yelling at this guy, telling him, spit it out right now, spit it out. As I'm sure he's laying on the ground, I can't really see him because all I can see are the guards on top of him, screaming at him, a knee in the side of this guy's head. I knew right then that these guards had seen him trying to swallow something that the person who came to visit him had brought to him, and most likely what that was drugs. And these guards weren't able to get him to spit this out. He actually was able to swallow this, whether he did so before they started choking him or whether he did so in the midst of them choking him. I'm not honestly sure, but he did swallow it. They weren't able to have anything in their hands as they picked him up, basically hog tying him, handcuffing him, and literally then carrying this guy out of the visitation room. And it wasn't just this guy who got in trouble for that. In fact, the girl who came to see him, she got arrested as well. They escorted her somewhere where she was to await the police to come get her and arrest her for bringing drugs into a prison. And where they took this guy after they hogtied him and carried him out of the visitation room was to what is referred to as a dry cell. This is a 24-hour observation cell where a guard literally sits in front of your cell looking dead at you through a window. These guards take shifts doing this, and never do these guards' eyes leave from you sitting inside of that dry cell where their only objective is to wait for you to use the bathroom. And what a dry cell is, you may wonder? Well, it's a cell that has no running water. So when you do use the bathroom, well, they're going to put on those frisky feelers, those blue gloves, and they're going to then go digging through your shit to find whatever it was that you swallowed. That way they can identify what it is and then charge you accordingly. And that is exactly what they did to this guy. And when he went to the bathroom, they were able to identify that as drugs and then charge him just like the girl who came to see him got charged with trying to bring drugs into a prison. Which for this guy was a new charge that he had to go to court for to get additional time added onto his sentence. Something else crazy that I saw happen in the visitation room, and I actually saw this happen quite a bit, was guys actually being able to have sex with the women who were coming to visit them. Now, when women come to visit guys, when girlfriends come to visit their boyfriends who are locked up, there's these dress codes, there's these things that they're not allowed to wear. And the reason that they have these dress codes is because they don't want to make it that easy for guys to be able to get their rocks off inside of a prison visitation room. But even with these dress codes that they enforce quite vigorously, and being how prisoners are pretty ingenious when it comes to them attempting to get laid in visit, guys do actually succeed a lot more than you would think. You see, in a visitation room, there are guards who are strategically placed throughout that room to keep an eye on everything that's going on. Whether they're watching out for drug exchanges or guys trying to have sex or other things being passed such as shoes, jewelry, whatever. That's what these guards are looking for and trying to keep an eye out on in these visits. But every so often you'll go into a visitation room and they may just be a little understaffed, or maybe a guard goes on break and another guard doesn't get in there exactly when that guard does go on break. And almost like planning for an escape, prisoners are probably paying more attention to the moves of these prison guards than their actual visits. And when that perfect timing does arise, these prisoners will then get up, act like they're going to take a picture with their loved ones, and they could be way off in the corner somewhere waiting for the cameraman to get to them, who, might I add, is another prisoner who also knows that there's going to be prisoners who are trying to have sex and are only using this picture opportunity to do so. So that cameraman might just take his time getting over there. And I can tell you personally, I've never had sex in a prison visitation room, but I have been standing waiting to take a picture right next to another guy who was acting like he was waiting to take a picture, who was having sex. And as I'm standing there, the girl that I'm waiting to take the picture with, she's just like, oh my God, they're having sex right there. And the whole time I'm just like, if you do not stop looking at them right now, you're gonna get me stabbed in here, girl. Keep your eyes looking forward. I'm not trying to die in here over seeing something I'm not supposed to be seeing. And during picture time in visit is only one place where guys will have sex. I've heard of guys having sex behind the drink machines, inside of the bathrooms in the visitation room, which is absolute insanity to think about. You as a prisoner being able to get into a bathroom with your visit without nobody seeing you. It may sound like something that's probably pretty hard to do, and I have to assure you, it is. But also, it is something that happens. In fact, I know of guys who have gotten caught literally with their pants down in a prison visitation room bathroom getting it on. And you know, there is one more time during visitation where guys can actually get laid. And that's at the very end of visitation, when the guards announce that visitation is over and all visitors must then leave. And a lot of guys will actually wait till the very end of the day to get their visits. That way they can be in there when visitation ends. Because when visitation ends, everybody basically stands up at the same time. They're hugging, they're embracing. And it's harder for the guards to be able to keep an eye on everybody during this time. And it's during this time when guys will actually slip off into the corner and, all right, I'm done. Yeah, at the end of visitation, a lot of sex takes place during that time. There is one more crazy thing that I want to tell you about that took place while I was inside of a visitation room. This was insanity. But there was again this one time when I was sitting in visitation, minding my own business, gazing into the eyes of this unbelievably crazy woman. And while doing so, and just like the first crazy thing that I told you about, I again heard some commotion, except this time it wasn't from the guard. Because you see, what can happen during visit is you can be sitting in visit and you're allowed up to 3 adult visitors at this one prison I was at. And at other prisons, they have different rules. Maybe it's 2, maybe it's 4, whatever. But every prison allows you a certain amount of visitors. And you can be sitting in visit, visiting with somebody, and maybe your friends show up a little later. So you can be in visit talking with your dad, and maybe your best friend shows up later in the visit, and then he can join you as well. Well, it most certainly wasn't a dad and best friend that this guy was visiting with. In fact, he was visiting with this chick, apparently, when all of a sudden another chick came in. I don't know who she was, whether she was the girlfriend, whether she was the side chick, whether she was the prison pen pal. But this guy was sitting in visitation, visiting with this one chick, and all of a sudden this other girl came in and basically just lost her shit right there when she saw this guy sitting in visit with some other woman. Oh, no, you ain't! No, you ain't in here with some other bitch! And the one girl who was sitting there visiting with this girl literally got thumped out by this other girl who came in and caught this guy with the chick that he was visiting with. Bang, 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 bang! It became absolute insanity in the middle of this visitation room as these two girls were fighting right there. Everybody's trying to get away. The guards are trying to get in to break these two girls up. The guards grab this one girl as she's kicking and screaming the entire time as they're trying to get her out, grabbing up the other girl, trying to get her out of there. And the whole time I'm watching this take place, I'm just thinking to myself, oh my God. It's during moments like this when anything could go down in the visitation room. Drugs could be exchanged, sex could be happening, because these guards are completely occupied with this fight taking place right here in the middle of visit. And this is about as close to Jerry Springer meets Locked Up Raw as you could probably ever have. I'm not exactly sure what happened to these two girls in this case. I'm pretty sure they caught some sort of a charge for doing this. I can only imagine. And I believe that even more because of what actually happened to the guy in this situation. And I'm not sure how crazy this will sound to you to learn, but this guy actually went to the hole for this. They actually locked this guy up for doing this, for causing a disturbance and fight inside of visitation. I mean, he didn't tell these two girls to start fighting right there, but I guess somehow the prison still felt that he was responsible for this. And they locked him up in the hole because of that. You know, that there is only a few crazy things that I've seen in visitation, and I could probably easily do at least another video or 2 telling you about other crazy shit that I saw take place during VI. So, you know, maybe I'll do that soon. Hey, look, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did so, please leave a like and a comment letting me know exactly what you thought about it. As always, until next time, enjoy life, the free world. Never take a moment for granted, nor ever get locked up to have to go to a prison VI and probably see some of the craziest shit you'll ever see in your life. And make the most of every day. Peace!